Welcome to episode 6. I am Josue. This is my beautiful wife,
Yarixa.
And this is
Jenni.
Yes, we're all here together. Jenni is my cousin and our first guest.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yes. We're excited to have her here. And so today we're going to be talking about the fact that no one is coming to save you. And no one is ever coming to save you. So I think you got to be the hero of your own story. And even though, like in a lot of religions and stuff, I think people are waiting for that savior to come back and rescue them from this hell or whatever it may be to some people. I think the whole point of like the Bible and these spiritual texts is to teach you how to become your own hero, your own savior, so that you don't need anything outside of yourself to be able to get to the heavens or you know wherever you're trying to go.
Your own heaven.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it goes back to also like a lot of people get like in their depressed state or they're not feeling very well, but then they just kind of wait around trying, because I know that's how I felt when I was little. Like when I was depressed, and I just wanted somebody to come save me, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody to come pull me out and tell me like everything's gonna be okay and this is how you're supposed to do it. Or whatever. But nobody came. And instead, you know, like I learned that, you know, I was depressed and then I had to get myself out of it. And then that's why I changed the way that I ate, because I found out that that's what was going to help me. But it definitely took a lot of inner work. It took me wanting to do the change. And it took me doing it, because if I don't do it myself, then nobody else can do it for me.
You
know.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of the spiritual texts are trying to teach you is how do you become Christ-like? Because that's what the whole point is. Everyone's always saying like, oh, what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
But are you really trying to do what Jesus would do? Because what Jesus would do was fast. He would, you know, face the devil by himself.
Yeah.
But most people are hoping, oh, no, well, I need Jesus to come save me when, he was supposedly trying to tell you how to become Christ-like. Because even in the Bible, it says, like, did I not say you guys are gods? So why are you trying to crucify me for saying I'm the son of God?
Yeah.
You know, so he's telling us there, you guys are gods too. You are supposed to be Christ-like as well.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what that means exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creating your own paradise, basically. You are waiting for something to save you from the hell that you'll experience after life, but you're like living in hell in life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because this is heaven or hell. And that's the thing about earth, is that it's the middle ground. Yeah. So it can be heaven, it can be hell. You could either give into all this demonic energy and stuff and suffer pains, all this greed, jealousy, all this stuff, or you could choose to be more Christ-like.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Bible is trying to show you. Be more Christ-like. Ascend to the heavens. Don't, give in to the temptations of the world so that you don't become of the world. Yeah. Because if the devil is in charge of this world, then, if you give into that, then that means you're going to give into demonic energy, which ends up being suffering and pain and misery and all this stuff. Even though it looks good, the money, the stuff that comes along with it at first, a lot of that comes with suffering.
And if you're waiting to be saved too, it's easier for you to fall into that temptation, because it's like made so easy for you to follow it. And if you're like not really thinking of what you want to create for yourself, someone already has like a path for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things that one of my favorite authors, Terrence McKenna, says. He says that the mushrooms told him, but he says that if you don't have a plan, then you become a part of someone else's plan. So you better come up with the plan, or else you're gonna become part of the plan of the mainstream media, the mainstream world.
Yeah.
And that's a plan of destruction. It's a plan of unhealthiness. It's a plan of, becoming degenerate and becoming ignorant and blindly following, a bunch of bullcrap.
Yeah. So it's like in a way beneficial for those trying to persuade you, for you to feel like you can't really help your reality, like you're just going with it.
Exactly. They're creating your reality instead of you accepting the role as a co-creator and creating the reality that you want to see in life.
Yeah.
And I think because it's hard too, because especially if you're in part of a religion, because when you're part of a religion, you're thinking that just believing in Christ is saving you and is going to give you everything that you need. But what is believing? It's actually taking action.
It's taking action.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because there could be also some people that say they don't believe in Christ but are good people as well. And they're like taking some good action for their life. So who would be saved there in their life? You could see who's saved during life. You could see who's following their morality in life. Because I think sometimes you don't even have to read to know what feels right and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And because God gave you like that inner moral compass for you to judge that. You don't have to wait for Judgment Day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it says in the Bible, faith without works is nothing. That's not an exact quote. But there's no point of faith if you're not doing any of the work. And I think that's the problem that people struggle with, is doing the work, because that's the hard part.
I mean, that is the hard part.
We all end up getting sick or something, and then you want like a medication to come get you out of the sickness, instead of realizing what causes sickness in the first place, getting down to the root of it, and then being like, okay, I don't need to go to the doctor to get this medication because I know what caused it. I was responsible for me getting sick. Now I can be responsible for me getting healthy.
Well, yeah, it's like those Band-Aid solutions. Obviously, it's not. It's the easiest way to go about health, for you to be like, oh well, I'm sick, so let me just cover it up a little bit. Like, the work that led you to be sick, or that led you to be healthy, is what's hard. It's the action of actual root health. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to see people just like waiting around for some miracle to happen or something, instead of realizing that they always had the power to be in control of what happens with their destiny. And people seem to get too caught up in like waiting for someone to bring them the solution, when, like you said, like, oh, it's inside of you already. I completely agree with that, because I think whether you go out there and research stuff, even though it's all there in the books, it's all there, if you really if you don't have access to that, you still have that knowledge within yourself. It's called the Akashic Records for some, but I believe all the information is within this universe as well. And if you're an antenna able to receive things, if you're clean and open to the different frequencies that we interact with all the time, then you'll be able to pick up the message. And to me, the biggest message is like, get up and do the necessary things that you need to do to make sure you ascend beyond this realm, because I think this is just a testing ground to see if you can become great enough to be an even more powerful creator. Because the more consciousness you have, the more discipline you have, the more creativity and goodness in your being, then I think the more freedom you get to create, you know, in different realms, in higher realms.
Yeah. There's so many ways to create. Like, one thing that I was talking about today, how nature is like, it's so, I think that a lot of the times people could get bored maybe in school or something, and they're like looking for more things to learn because it's kind of like a man-made structure. But if you are trying to learn from just life itself, like, there's never going to be a limit to that. There's always going to be more and more and more to see. And like you said, like, if you're open to receiving it, it will come to you in so many different ways. Like, it'll come in every single way you need.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems, is that no one wants to be bored anymore. Like, you know, you get bored nowadays, and you easily find something to entertain you on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or something. And I think being bored is a good thing, because it gives us that room to be, you know, creative, for that creativity to come through you, and then you find a way to express it because you have nothing else to do. You know. And because I haven't been bored in, I don't even know how long. Like, I don't remember the last time I've been bored. I don't really get bored anymore, because, like, even if I'm just sitting by myself, just in my thoughts, is not boring, because I'm like, boring. I have so many ideas of things I want to do, or things I have to do next. And so it's just like never ending to me, because there's, like you said, that if you're open to it, there's always something to learn, there's always something to do, and there's something always to get better at and to try to master or whatever. Know?
There's no like, you've reached your limit here. Like, there's always more to go. I saw this like comparison of like, that you sit there in silence or meditation, and they were like, it's so boring that it's stimulating, and then comparing it to like scrolling, and then just being like, oh, it's so stimulating, it's boring. Like, there's so much. It's so opposite, but that's really true.
But I think the only reason that you guys, like, what you're saying is true is because you're focusing on, like, creating. But there's a lot of people who focus on all the bad things that happen to them.
That's true.
And they sit there and they sit there and they try to, they just feel bad because they're feeling sorry for themselves, because, oh my God, when I was little, this happened to me, and now because of that, I'm scarred for life, you know?
That is so true. Because, when I sit by myself, I think of creation. I think of the life I'm trying to bring forth, and then what I could do to bring that kind of life that I want. And you're right. Other people, when they sit by them, they don't like being by themselves, because when they sit by themselves, all they think is that all about all the bad crap that's happened, all the trauma, and like how their life isn't not what they want it to be, and so they can't meditate because they feel like, oh, it's a punishment anytime I'm by myself.
Yeah. I'm already 30 years old and I still don't have anything that I thought I was going to have by 30. And then they just start dwelling on that. Like, I'm not good enough. Like, all these bad thoughts. So then what's going to happen?
You dig yourself deeper.
And then that's what you're attracting more and more and more. You're creating. And then that's living in hell.
Oh, yeah.
You're creating hell.
You're creating that, and then, you know, being sad like that makes you want to get ice cream. It makes you want to do all these other things that are going to either damage your health or, you know.
Yeah, because now I don't have the energy to cook, so now I'm going to order a pizza.
His head is hitting the
mic. He wants to talk too.
He's like jumping. He's pushing himself.
So it's an interesting situation, like how, you know, just being still with yourself can go either way, you know. And I know for me, first, like, meditating was pretty hard, because sometimes I would just go to the dark stuff, and I would go to the stuff that wasn't easy to think about. But for me, you know, my mushroom experiences was something that helped me be able to face all the crap and come to terms with it in such a way to where, you know, it ended up being like a beneficial thing, to where I was like, oh, I'm forced to sit here and go through all this crap that I did, you know, look at the karma that I created and deal with it and accept the fact that, yeah, I did that.
Acceptance. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. I did that. And,
Well, that's a big part of loving yourself too, accepting your past. Like, you can't really, I mean, it led you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it counts for something.
yeah, accepting your past and accepting the fact that you have light and dark within you. But then the great thing is that you learn how to transform that darkness, or you don't give into the darkness, so that you don't become that evil person. You don't become something that is going to end up creating an even bigger hell for your life. You have the discernment to know what's good for you and what steps you need to take to make sure that you live a life where you're really not going to regret anything. It's good not to live with any regrets, but at the same time, is that really true that you don't have any regrets? Or is it, or are you just like trying to create this false sense of illusion where you're like, oh yeah, no regrets for anything I ever did, but it's true, that's true. Is that acceptance, or is that just like you trying to downplay all the bad shit?
Not face it. Well, yeah, that's another way to not face it.
Yeah.
But and two, like, even if you do have regrets, like, you can't really let that, like, oh, I have a regret, so now might as well just, not care because I already ruined it. Like, it just makes it worse to fall under that, and like, it doesn't have to be perfect. There could be stuff that, like, you want to change now, basically. Yeah.
Every day is a new day.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's why near-death experiences could be like so powerful, because then you get like a flashback of your whole life. And then to me, I didn't have to like go, like, my near-death experiences were my ego deaths when I had like mushroom trips, when I did high dosages. And there was one trip in particular where I had that. It was my first time doing, it was like 6 grams. I was by myself, so this was my first time ever tripping by myself.
Wow.
Right, son? I'm gonna tell you all these stories when you understand, but I'll tell you right now. So it was my first time doing it by myself, and it started getting like really intense. It started getting deep to the point where I got Salud.
Salud.
To the point where I got into just like pretty much a void. It was just darkness, but then all I could hear is a voice. So I was in communication with the mushroom, I guess you could say. It felt like God to me. It felt like a higher consciousness for sure, because it seemed super intelligent. And basically what was happening, one of the parts that was happening when I was in this communication, it was taking me through my whole life. So it was like, oh, look at this. And it would show me something in my life. It could be something good. And it would just kept saying, look at this. But the only thing that would change in like my memory of the things that happened was like the tone. So when it was like showing me something that I did that wasn't the best, it'd be like, oh, look at this. and then I'd be like, oh damn, I did do that. And then then it'd be like, but look at this. And then it was something I did good, and I was like, oh yeah, damn, I am a good person. Damn. After that, I felt like, I was like, man, maybe I'm a little hard on myself for all the mistakes that I made, but it doesn't have to define me, of who I am. And it showed me all the little things that I thought no one paid attention to, or no one even noticed and stuff. And then I was like, oh damn, even that is being even that's being counted, even that is being recorded and being taken note of. Because the fortunate part is that some people don't look back at their life, or they don't feel like their good deeds and their bad deeds are being weighed out until the end of their life, and even the Egyptian says that your heart gets measured against a feather. Your heart has to be as light as a feather to be able to ascend, or else any little thing makes you have a heavy heart. And I mean, a feather is obviously really light. So if you want to be as light as a feather, then you have to really be able to focus on good deeds and creating more of those experiences where the mushroom is going to be like, oh, look at this.
It comes back to that. It comes back to the mushroom being like, but look at this.
Yeah,
so many more
I wanted
times.
more of those,
Yeah.
you know, but it showed me the bad ones, and it was like, you know, but it didn't make me feel like an asshole for doing what I did. It was just like, look,
you also did this.
You did this,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. I feel like I felt very good about myself, like not in a cocky way, but in a way where I was like, you know, I can be good because I've shown hints of it already.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I can be a better person if I just continue doing these good things that I know I'm capable of doing.
Oh yeah.
You know, so from that point on, that's when I started making the different choices, and then shortly after that, I think that's when I became vegetarian, and then one thing always led to another thing to where I'm like, oh, I could improve in this area of my life, or now I could improve in this area of my life, and it's been kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Ever since that experience.
You kept proving your goodness
My
to
goodness.
yourself.
Yeah.
So that it could continue. It kind of like builds your person around it after your actions. They follow, even if you don't believe it all the way. Like by doing it, you start believing it too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think that's a good point, because I think that's where belief can actually play like a good role.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the belief that you are capable of being a Christ. And then once you have the belief, then you start acting as if it's true.
Accordingly, yeah.
Yeah. But it can't just rest at the belief. Or like, oh, I believe I'm a good person, but I'm going to still do all these bad things to myself and do bad things to other people and think that it's going to translate in any way.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, the Bible says, you know, your body's your temple, but then everybody always just associates it with, like, tattoos.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you shouldn't get tattoos because your body's your temple.
Mm.
But then it's like, no, your body's your temple, so that means, like, treat it right.
Like the inside of it,
too.
Yeah.
Like, what you're doing, like, self-harm is bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a temple, not a graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, and I think for me, what changed it was, because I used to be really depressed, you know, because I've been through a lot, like,
Yeah.
ever since I was, like, really little. And I used to feel really bad for myself, like, why me? Like, why did I, like, when I started to notice that not everybody has the same life as me and people are actually happy, I was like, then why do I have to be destined to have this horrible life, you know? But then I heard I read in one of the self-help books that, like, if you're a victim, if you choose to be a victim, you can either be the victim in your story or you can be the hero in your story. And if you choose to be the victim, then you're always going to be the victim.
Yeah.
But you can also choose to be the hero. And I was like, oh, yeah, I choose to be the hero, you know? Like, I don't want to be the victim. And then I started looking more into that and, like, what is victim mentality, and, like, and basically it's just, like, when you're feeling bad for yourself all the time, when you're like, oh, well, yeah, I would do that, but, you know, this happened to me, so I can't do that. Oh, I would do that, but no, I can't, because, you know, like, you just make so many excuses for yourself. And so then you end up addicted. You end up just doing things like not like eating McDonald's every day. You know, you end up just doing things that, oh, well, I would do that, but I don't have energy to do that because I'm depressed.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna eat pizza every day, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, it's not good for you, but you're still doing it. Like, oh, you know, like, even drinking soda. Like, everybody knows drinking soda is bad, but somehow everybody drinks soda still.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you don't have the capacity or want to really actually change because you're the victim.
Yeah.
And so for me, just having that choice, and good thing it was only 2 choices because I don't do well when there's too many.
The rest come later.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a Libra, guys.
Yeah. We only got 2 sides to the scale.
Yeah.
Don't give me too many.
Don't give me too many choices, because then I won't know. Babe, no.
Yeah. And it does come down to choice. It always just everything in this reality comes down to choice, because at the end of the day, we all had the choice to come here. We all signed up for this life, so it's like now you have the choice of what you want to do here.
Yeah.
What are you here to experience? What are you here to learn? What are you here to take back to source?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it's all about, is the experience and the learning and, you know, the choices that you make. Because if you can't make good choices here, what makes you think that you could make good choices running a whole universe? Because if our body is a universe, this is the first universe that we get to control. So if you want to ascend, then you're going to have control over other universes. But if you can't make good choices here, what, like, is the Most High going to give you a whole big ass universe to control? Hell no.
That's such a good example.
No.
No. You stay in your body.
Yeah, you're gonna reincarnate back into a pig now.
You want to eat like that?
Yeah. Hey, no.
Why would you eat?
What culture is that? Is that the Vedics that say, like, oh, if you eat animals, you're gonna end up reincarnating as the animals that you eat? Dude, that's intense. I don't know how they figured that out, but like, hey, you gotta be careful with kind of stuff, because you don't know what, like, if you're doing a bunch of life unconsciously and you're just, you know, oh, well, this is what my parents say, oh, this is what my parents did, oh, this is what their parents did, then it's like, all right, well, you don't know where they're going to end up after this. Like, do you really want to follow that? Or do you want to try going to better places? Because that's, at the end of the day, there's, like, a lot better out there than, you know, what this world is. Because there was a time where I think this world was a lot more heavenly. It was vibrating at a way different frequency. But obviously, we've been under a weird ass control to where things are becoming degenerate and things are really being perverted in every sense, from the food to entertainment to clothing to anything you could really think of.
Yeah, I do think that, like, for most of humanity, though, humans were more considerate of the earth, because they knew how important it was, and they knew what they were putting in and what it was giving back, and like how to take care of it. And somewhere in between of us not, like, I think food is a big one, of not knowing like where our food comes from and like not working with it as well. It kind of, we lost sense of what to do to take care of the earth.
Yeah.
And have it function at a higher.
And it hasn't even been that long, to be honest.
No, it hasn't.
The beautiful thing is that, like, nature never allows us to fully disconnect. It's always going to keep a couple, like, all right, you guys are doing crazy stuff over here in the Americas and Europe and all these things. But then there's tribes in the jungle that live completely off the land.
Yeah.
They live completely like they did thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed there, you know, and I think it's a great thing that we have something to look at. Like, hey, these people are still living like this. Oh, we think they're less advanced or whatever like that. But yet they're not dealing with diseases. They're not dealing with heart attacks and all this other crap.
Yeah, there's so much intelligence behind the rules of nature. Yeah. Like us, again, like the man-made structures, those laws aren't as, like, we're trying to place ourselves in a godlike position, kind of, by making these rules of how we should live, but we're not taking it from nature lessons. Like, we're not really working with nature. So
yeah, because the laws are already there and they're perfect, you know, and like you said, they're already within you. You know not to kill someone because you know, it's just, you can't harm against anybody else. You can't enforce yourself on anybody else, your way of being. You have to let people be themselves. You have to let people be without harming.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you do harm, you should feel bad about it. I mean, I guess that's one of the things about psychopaths, right? Is that they apparently don't feel that.
I was thinking about psychopaths today because I was thinking, like, okay, well, evil is kind of like... I was thinking about how evil came from more evil, and then it kind of, like, spiraled into more and more. And because psychopaths, sometimes they say that they have, like, a different brain structure, and, like, kind of blaming it on their brain structure.
Yeah.
But even that came from past trauma from, like, parents and stuff like that. So it comes from, like, those small decisions that, like, kind of, like, start transforming into these bigger things, and then you have, like, your brain structure is different, and you're not feeling emotion or empathy the same way.
Yeah.
Well, they also say that, like, it's kind of like when, you know, how a dog, like, they say that if a dog tastes blood, then it's most likely gonna attack again. Because it likes the taste of blood. So then, like, for example, if somebody kills, like, they're most likely going to kill again because they get addicted to that power of, like, ending somebody's life, like, being able to be kind of like God, like, in that sense of, like, having the control of ending somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's more like that too, like, and it does change your DNA and your brain structure and everything like that.
Yeah, you build those new neural connections, and and it's not just in your brain, to me, because I think we hold energy or information in all different parts of our body, depending on what kind of energy that is, because things like hate or anger that ends up making you want to hurt someone is held in the lower chakras, so the lower energy centers. And if you do more good deeds and stuff like that, then it helps raise your vibration, because now you're focusing on the higher chakras, which are the heavenly things. But the point is to have that balance, you know, which is the heart chakra, that middle one. And once you have that balance, then you're really able to, I think, walk like Christ, because you're able to be in this realm and still be of a higher place. You know, because that's what Christ did, right? He supposedly came from heaven down to earth, and he even went to hell too. But then he was here showing us, you know, if you believe in Jesus being here, then he was supposed to be showing us how it's possible to be human, living here in the world, but still be of heavenly things. And I think it's important to do that. Yeah. Because if you're not trying to be Christ-like here, then you either don't believe in God, or you don't think that we're supposed to be trying to be like Christ. Because that's like blasphemy to some people, you know?
Yeah, to a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, to say that you want to be like Jesus is like bad. Like, what do you mean? He was perfect. And it's like, well, like, trying to be like him is nothing bad.
I know.
Like, nobody's saying we're...
Oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Like... Well, I think that's the whole point. Like, I think the whole point is kind of being here to learn how to be better and how to be good, because we might not be born, like, knowing sometimes. I think, like, a lot of evil, like, most evil comes from ignorance. Like, you don't understand how grave that, like, how bad that was, and that's why you're doing it. Like, I think that sometimes you go through life and you learn, like I said earlier too, the moral compass is there, but you develop it further. Like, I heard this story about this man who, like, I think committed all these crimes, killed a lot of people, and he wasn't sent to jail right away. They, like, educated him on everything he had done. They told him about the families and all, like, they told him all the harm and gave him this information, and they killed him. And that was, like after he learned everything that he had done and had seen how bad it was. And I feel like that's sometimes what happens. Like, we don't notice what we're doing, that it's evil. Like, we do evil because we don't know enough.
I think to a point that's correct, but not at the more extreme levels. So I don't think evil comes from ignorance for those ones that are truly evil. But it does for the people who are receiving the evil from the people who want to spread evil throughout the world.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like, because the ones that are trying to control the world and doing demonic things and are, doing horrible things to children for sacrifices, for ritual purposes, they know exactly what they're doing. That's not ignorance. Because they know exactly what they're doing. But I think that since everything trickles down from the top, the system that they're using on humanity is coming down, and then now we're the victims, or certain people, because obviously we're not, but like but like certain people who do fall victim to the evilness of the world are ignorant of where this stuff even comes from. Because some people don't even know that the food they're eating can cause the depression or cause the mental illnesses that they're dealing with that makes them want to do these horrible things. Especially when we're talking about things like different parasites that get into your brain and start eating up on your brain matter and stuff like that. Like, yeah, of course you're going to be crazy. Of course you're going to have... And then when you watch the TV and there's subliminal messages like crazy... then a kid growing up watching TV, not knowing that there's all these messages being passed through him through the television, because they go in a hypnotic state. They go to a hypnotic state, and then all this information is being passed through them, and then all of a sudden they want to go, shoot their teacher or something crazy. And that's ignorance, because they don't understand where the evil is coming from. Or if they did understand, they would turn off the TV. They would put down the food that's causing their, so much damage to their brain and all these different things, but they don't know.
Yeah, and that's so true, because, like, for example, my mom, I've been telling her, shut the TV off, don't watch the award ceremony thing that they have, But she didn't realize how bad it was until now. Like, now that she, like she just watched the award ceremony for, like, I think it's called like Latin like Grammy or something. Like it's like kind of like the ones that they have for English actors and stuff, but for Spanish ones.
Yeah.
And they had like the people singing and stuff, like the singers, like their dances were pretty much rituals. Well, they are rituals.
Oh yeah.
But she finally got to see how it looks.
Her eyes were open when she was watching it this time.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? Like, it was, like, really bad to the point where, like, she's like, okay, I need to shut this off. Like, this is coming into my home because I'm watching it. And not only into her home, but, like, into her brain, into everything,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
she's like, she even had bad dreams that night about what she watched because she felt that bad, and it was the first time, and I'm like, I've been trying to tell you,
It's always the crazy ones trying to tell you.
Yeah, I know.
But no, it's so true. That's actually why I stopped watching football too, because like I started waking up to a lot of this crap that was going on in the world and stuff, but then I was still watching football, and then I realized when I was watching the Super Bowl, like, first of all, they had freaking George Sr. going and doing the coin toss. And I already knew how horrible the Bushes were. Part of the Skull and Bones. And, obviously, Junior was the one in where 9/11 happened. So I already knew all this stuff about them. And yet, like, oh, I'm watching something that they're being celebrated. Everyone at the stadium's all cheering for him. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, why would you even cheer for this thing? And then the halftime shows at the Super Bowl are always super demonic.
Yeah.
With Lady Gaga, Beyonce, always super demonic. And I'm like, damn, they're obviously like doing so many messages through this crap. And me knowing about it, yet I'm still, watching it because I love football. Because I'm addicted to the entertainment, to the sport. And then you find out like, China... Did you guys see the ceremony they did for the Olympic Games?
No.
So they did this whole big old, ceremony for the Olympic Games like they usually do for the Olympics. But they had it like to pretty much where it was this whole like COVID play almost. And to where even like some of the formations that they ended up in was like the whole, the virus sign, the logo, the red thing with the spikes. They did that right there in front of the TV, and this was pre-pandemic.
Oh well.
And so they put it all in our faces. They
Did you see that they just had like a fashion show or something, like the
who,
like, I don't know, like Lady Gaga and all them, like all the famous people, or I think it was the famous people, but they had like a fashion show where they're just like wearing like expensive stuff. And they were rating, like, I just seen it because I seen, like, a video where they're rating the outfits and stuff. And, like, it's crazy because one of them, like, literally looked like Satan, like, the devil. And then, like all of them looked pretty demonic. But it was just, like, really crazy how it's, like, right there in your eyes. Yeah. Like, it's fashion now.
Oh, yeah. They always try making it fashion and, making it normalize, like, that's why they're trying to normalize pedophilia and all this other gross stuff, because that's how we slowly start to accept it.
Yeah.
I think, was it David Icke that called it the totalitarian tiptoe? Because they do just little step by little step by little step, and then next thing you know, you're just accepting all this crap.
Well, yeah, because now it's, like, really funny how, like, people will be, like the people on TV and stuff, they'll be like, they want you to accept their, their pedophilia, basically. Like, they're transvestites and they're gays and everything like that. But then, like, somebody who's religious and modest and stuff, like, oh, no, they must get arrested. They must, they need to die. Like, they're just, like, they want everybody to accept all these things that are going on. But then they don't want to accept the views of the other people. Yeah. And then they must die because they don't think that it's okay. And it's, like, so crazy because it's, like, it's either you're with them or you should be dead.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were telling me.
No.
I was like,
yeah. It's very extreme on both sides.
Yeah, because I'm just like, what the heck? Like, I don't even mind. Like, if you're going to be a transvestite, then be a transvestite. If you're going to get an abortion, then get an abortion. Like, because that's your karma. That's what you're doing. And it's okay. Like, as long as it's not affecting me. But once it's the teachers, once it's like they're going to the kids to try to get the kids to learn this stuff, that's when I'm like, okay. Like, you guys need to chill. Yeah. Because, like, the kids, like, if you're gay and you're a kid, you're gonna know you're gay. Like, you're gonna decide that for yourself, because it's, you were born that way, supposedly, right? Yeah. But if they're like, because now they're like coming up and saying like, oh, my kindergarten class, it turns out one of them came out and said that the girl is she wants to be a pronoun he. And then it turns out that the whole class wants to change their pronouns now. And it's like seriously? Like, because one kid came out and said that, now the whole class too? Yeah. Like, how does a whole class end up being the wrong gender?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And yeah, you're right. Like, it's fine, but don't be confusing the kids. Yeah. Like, leave the kids out of your way of thinking. Yeah. And that's the problem. Like, yeah, when they start bringing drag queens and stuff like that
to story
times and little kids and showing them how to twerk and stuff like that, like, first of all, where the heck are their parents?
Probably the parents are okay there.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
They're the ones recording. They're the ones like
saying, entertainment.
Go give them $1.
Go give them $1.
Well,
I've seen it, and it's like crazy because it's like, what the heck, like. But the parents are trying to be inclusive, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy how, like, you can think that you have to be inclusive to the point to where, like, now you're poisoning your kid, Yeah. Like, I don't mind that there's the drag queen shows, but, like, why does it have to be to the kids? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah. And, too, like, I think that kids aren't gonna have a concept yet, like, clear of like what they're attracted to sexually because puberty hasn't hit yet, and that's like not even their time of development. But like, and one thing I learned too is that trauma makes kids develop faster, which I kind of related to this kind of because I was like, okay, so like increasing the trauma on kids or on people in general, and then just like making puberty hit faster for them, and then like kind of making it a younger age. I was like, just putting those together, I was like, wow.
Oh, that's why they're causing all the trauma.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I mean, that makes sense because I remember, like, I have pictures of me being 13. And at 13 years old, I was not looking like I'm 20. Like, now the 13-year-olds now, they're like, you know, like crop tops and freaking long nails. Like, it's like crazy how, like, they literally look how I was looking when I was like 17.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're older. And even 17 was too young because then when you look back, even like, for example, when my mom was 17, she looked really young still. Like, she didn't look how I looked when I was 17.
Yeah.
And it's all the programming, the social media, the television, everything. Because now that's what girls are looking at too. So that's what they want to look like.
Yeah, and nowadays, because nowadays, like, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think my mom let me paint my nails when I was a little girl, but like now little girls are painting their nails like 5 years old, like wearing their mom's makeup. There's even like a 7-year-old, they're like younger girl that does like really good makeup, like contour and everything. And it's like, how?
YouTube videos.
Yeah,
and it's like, but she's 7, you know, or like even younger.
Yeah, because like, what is that gonna do to her self-esteem? And
yeah, like right now they're celebrating her because she's so young and she has this gift of transforming a girl's face. But it's like, is that even really good? Because I went through that, and it's like then she's gonna start wearing makeup probably super young. You know, it's kind of like those pageant girls. Like the babies, the toddlers and it was called toddlers and tiaras, and they were literally little girls, toddlers and little girls, and they were like full on makeup, you know, dressed up like crazy, like mini skirts and things like that, dancing on stage. Like, it's like crazy how like everything like that happens, and then they even made like a show like following those same babies and toddlers. And, like, they're all messed up in the head. You know? Like, they're all, like, their self-esteem is bad. Their manners are bad. Like, they didn't really learn anything because all they learn is, like, their physical has to be in shape because they're going to get judged.
Yeah, on their looks.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
Yeah. That has to be such a mental, you know, mess up. Like, for little kids growing up thinking, like, focus so much on just their looks.
And they win awards for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And then who's the weirdo? Is it kids judging those kids? Like,
nah.
It's freaking adults, huh? Yeah. I never even thought about that.
And it's
like, the judges.
Men, too. Like,
that's gross.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know why I never thought about that. All these little kid pageants, and it's just adults like, oh, yeah, that little girl.
That's weird.
Look how she's really walking. Good. Oh, look at that
smile.
Dude, that's creepy.
Yeah, because then they come out and then they do like little faces like.
And then they're like. Yeah. Oh my God.
And then they're like, you know, the way they walk. Yeah. It's crazy. I used to watch them because I used to be into that because I wanted to be a model. So it was like something that I wish my mom would have put me in, and I'm so glad that she didn't. But you know,
oh my
it's crazy.
Goodness, it is wild. And so, how do those kids snap out of that?
Like, are they? Do they?
Do they? I don't think like, dude, because their parents are obviously messed up to even want to start your kid on that path. Like, you have to be pretty jacked up.
How do you even get to the level of like committing evil knowing fully well what you're doing? Like, what gets you to that point? Like, I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, I think it's like an addiction kind of. But to what?
I don't know. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's hard to really understand that stuff without getting into the minds of the people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, damn. Who knows?
The power.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a world that has a lot of dark energy. And if you get sucked into it, if you allow that into your life, it's kind of hard to break out of.
Yeah.
You know, it can, if nothing in your life, I think there's always situations that will help us to make the decisions to get out of the path that we're on if it's not the right path. But we have the choice to either ignore it, or some people don't even notice it, you know? Like there's that one, it's like a story about, or like a little tale about a guy who he was out in the sea and his ship broke down, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna pray to God to save me. And then like a life raft goes by, and then like, oh, do you need help? And the guy's like, no, I'm just waiting for God to save me. And then a boat goes by, and like, oh, do you need help? He's like, oh no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then the ship goes by, and then like same thing. And then he dies. He goes up to heaven, and he's like, God, what the heck? Like, I was expecting you to save me. He's like, dude, I sent you 3 boats. Like, what do you mean? What else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You know? And some people are that blind. They're that blind to where they're not going to see the help right in front of their eyes, or maybe they don't want to even acknowledge it because they understand like that they have to admit and accept that they're doing something wrong in the first place.
Yeah.
And they have to change.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to do the hard part and change. Like, oh, crap. Most people would rather just not admit that they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter what happens in this world, whatever, dude.
Well, I've got, because you know how, like, I always used to think I was boring because there's the kind of topics I could talk about, but, like, I can't talk about nothing that's on TV or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, so then I would start talking about this with some of my friends, and then my friends would be like, you know what, I'd rather just not talk about this because I don't want to think about that. And then that's it. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, that's kind of weird that you just rather not think about that. Like, so you can continue to do what you're doing because it's too much, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the thing is comfortability. So people like to be comfortable. And once you like being comfortable, you don't like things to challenge your comfort, So as soon as you start bringing up like deep thoughts and, making them think things that they don't really like to think about, they're like, no, like I'd rather stay in my bubble. My bubble's nice and warm, and there's no conspiracies in here. There's no evil. I could do whatever I want. And it's gonna be okay. It
That's
doesn't
not
matter.
true.
Yeah. All of us here are like, man, the bubble. Let's figure out what the hell needs to happen, and get it. Because I was lucky enough to have things like martial arts and stuff like that really got me out of my comfort zone, and made me realize like, oh, I gotta find peace in the middle of someone punching me in the face, in the middle of all this pain, and someone's trying to choke me out, and I'm trying to find peace in that.
Yeah.
In this uncomfortable situation. Some people don't allow themselves to get into this. Like, even if it's something as harmless as a conversation about something deep.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I've had multiple friends stop me, and then I'm just like, it's awkward after that. Because I'm like, well, do I want to be friends with this person? Because it's kind of, like, that's wild to me. Like, how could you tell me you don't want to think about this?
Yeah.
But then that's why we're having kids, and lots of them. Because, like Junior, Junior, he was, like, asking me, why does the government allow for poison to be in our food? And I was like, because
it's a good question.
They're trying to kill us. Because they're trying to kill us and control us. And then he's like, well, how do we stop them from putting poison in the food? And then I'm like, well, we can't stop them. so that's why we're gonna start. We grow our own food. That's why we eat the way that we do, and that's why we teach people how to eat the way that we do, because we can't stop them, but we can create more of us. And then he's just like, oh, okay. And so he's really happy about opening an alkaline restaurant, because he thinks that's contributing to helping people
that's part
eat
of the
better.
solution.
Yeah. Part of the solution.
And,
but he's 4, and he's asking me, how do we stop him?
Some people are like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
They're going to do whatever. It's like, they're going to do whatever, but that means we can do whatever, too.
Yeah.
Because we gave government power anyways.
Exactly.
So
I was saying.
Yeah. So
they're dependent on us.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's so funny that, I mean, and that's why a lot of people think that I'm quiet and stuff, because I hear the conversations being had and I don't like them. They're not interesting to me. And then when I try talking about deep stuff, they're not interested. So I'm just like, I'd rather stay quiet until I find my people. And then that's why, like, I reached out to you, because I'm like, damn, this girl's posting all kinds of shit. Like, she's probably down to talk about some of the stuff that I'm like, so. You know, so it's like, it makes it easier, you know, to find your people instead of like wasting, because to me it takes a lot of energy to talk. It takes a lot of energy to really give myself to people and stuff. So I'm very picky, and people take that as me just being quiet, and I'm like, sure. You know, but like, you guys know I could talk.
Yeah.
You know?
You could talk.
You know, so
this channel knows.
So yeah, you know, it just comes down to people's comfortability and how uncomfortable they're trying to get. Because like, talking about things like, oh, they're poisoning our food is uncomfortable. Because why? Because you still have to go to the grocery store. Like, well, shit, I live in an apartment. I'm not going to start growing my own food, you know. But you could start small. Like, I have those things up there, the little lights to grow food indoors. I started doing that in my apartment in Orange County, you know. Just learning how to grow something, whether it be indoors, outdoors, by the window shield, like, just start growing something by yourself.
I think that's what, like, stops a lot of people, that it's, like, overwhelming, but it's those little things that, like,
steps. Little by little by little.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, like my boss, the one that was, like, more like the hippie one. Like him, he was like, oh, I've always wanted to grow my own salsa. And I'm like, well, grow it. And he's like, but I live in an apartment. And I was like, do you have a balcony? He's like, yeah. I was like, then grow it in your balcony. Like, you don't have to grow like a bunch. Like, you could just literally start little.
Dude, even in the balcony, I saw this one Instagram page that on their balcony they had, I don't know how many different plants, like 50 different types of plants, fruit trees, stuff, and I was like, what the hell?
I've seen it too. That's how I'm like, we'll just grow. Like, he's literally just trying to grow a salsa. So
like 3 different
maybe
a couple tomatoes.
Chile, tomato, cilantro, and key limes.
Those are all things very easily grown, like in a balcony.
Yeah, especially like, exactly. Cilantro, come on. Tomatoes, come on.
And see, that's the thing. He rather he'd rather count on the store instead of doing it himself.
Yeah, and he said that he's always wanted to do it, so why not just do it? And then he's like, you know what? This summer I am gonna go for it.
Yeah, there you go.
And I was like, good.
Helping him out.
Yeah.
Like,
courage. Yes.
Like, he didn't really have a good, because I kind of had a solution. Because he's like, well, I live in an apartment. I'm like, okay, do you have a balcony? Yeah. Okay. So, you're in your balcony.
So, nothing left to be said.
It's true. And I mean, that's the thing, is that you could just start with the simplest stuff. You know, you don't have to make these huge changes all at once. You don't have to, you know, go from being, you know, a drug addict to being Christ in one year. Like, you know, it's okay, man. Take your time, dude.
It's okay.
Like, let's get there slowly but surely. You know, that's my thing. Because, you know, I'm a Taurus moon, so, like, I'm very methodical in my movement. I like to take my time.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know, I like to take my time. Yeah, you do?
Yeah, Mercury and Venus.
Oh, nice. See? Mm-hmm. So, like, I like taking my time with things. You love taking your time with things.
If I love taking my time, you really love taking your time.
You know? And it's always
yes. Astrology.
Yes, even with my conversations. You know, I'm not the fastest talker. I'm not just going, bah, 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 bah. I'm always like, you know, I build up to the point, or I'm trying to get there in, you know, the correct way and stuff like that. And some people are impatient, so they can't like handle like waiting, and they just have to interrupt. Yeah, but I just listened to them for 15 minutes in a row. You know? But I forgot where I was going.
You were saying that you don't have to go to drug addict to Christ.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because like my life is perfect example. Because you know, I was vegetarian for 3 years before I was like,
took the next step without the cheese.
Yeah, dude, that cheese was a to get over, but you know, it wasn't. You know, I didn't let it stop me. It was just something I knew. It was like that pain in your butt when you're like, damn, eventually I got to massage. I got to do something that, you know, eventually I got to do it. Like, I got to give up the cheese. I know. I feel what it's doing inside my body. I know it's not good. But one day, you know, I didn't. And, you know, some days I would beat myself up a little bit more than others. But it wasn't to the point where like, oh my God, I'm such a piece of crap. I'm just gonna go back on everything I already started. You know, I'm gonna go back to eating meat. Now I'm gonna go back to porn. Now I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna go back to that. It's like, no, man. You know, I'm here where I'm at now, one step at a time. It's all right that I didn't get here as fast as I could. But now, the cool thing is that now it's so much easier to make changes.
Yeah.
Because once you get that ball rolling and you get used to being uncomfortable and you get used to things being different, you know, then it makes it easier to do it again. You know, and that's how it is in life. You know, once you know, let's say you are playing or making a puzzle. The first time you do it, probably will take you an hour. The second time you do it, it's going to take you only 45 minutes. The third time you do it, 10 minutes. And then before you know it, you're just a freaking speed at it. And, you know, a lot of it, that's people don't want to go through the slow progression. You know, some people are actually good at going cold turkey. I believe you went cold turkey on a lot of things, right?
Like, yeah, my first addiction, then beer. Like, I went from looking in the mirror and being like, dang, like, I literally drank a beer every single day for 30 days, and I gained 10 pounds. And I'm looking in the mirror like, my clothes isn't fitting, and it's all the beer. And then I was like, no more beer. And I just stopped drinking beer. Because I was just like, I don't want to be fat.
Yeah.
Well, I just didn't want to buy the next size up. Because they say once you buy the next size up, then you'll always keep buying the next size up because you get comfortable. And I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
But, and especially for something that wasn't even good for me, you know? But
yeah.
I was gaining it super fast because I was drinking IPA, so I guess it has more calories or something. I don't know what it has. But, or more bloated. I don't know, but whatever. I did that, and then I gave up all the foods too. Like from one day to another, I went alkaline.
Yeah. So she didn't go through the whole 2 years vegetarian, 3 years vegan. Like I did.
I was like reverse vegetarian because I was already
vegetarian.
I don't know. Not doing dairy or like cheese because it would mess my stomach up. And then, but I was still eating chicken because I was like, well, what am I gonna eat? I need protein. And then I heard Dr. Sebi be like, I don't believe in protein. I was like, oh yeah, I don't believe in protein either.
I believe in amino acids.
You're right. What is protein? I don't know. I don't know what protein is. I don't believe in it.
Yeah, I know. And now neither does Yaki and everything. Yeah. He always talks crap about protein.
Yeah.
So-called protein, which is just amino building blocks.
So it made it super easy to be like, oh, I don't need to eat chicken anymore. Because at the very end, I was kind of grossed out by it anyway. And then I never really liked beef. And then I for sure didn't like pork. Like, pork always made my stomach hurt and have diarrhea. Like, it was bad. Yeah.
He's like, oh, let's censor that.
Bad every time. But yeah, so but what kind of signs do I have? Why am I
what kind of what?
Signs in my moons and stuff?
Oh, Sagittarius is a fire moon.
Yeah, Sagittarius.
That's pretty
Is that why I'm
That's
so
pretty
fat?
telling.
Just like I could, just as much as I could cut off food, cut off, alcohol and drugs and whatever. I could do the same thing with people. It's just so weird. Like literally, like one day I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I really don't like you. And then I just stop talking to you, and you never hear from me again.
That's good. That's a good skill to have because a lot of people don't have that skill. So they could get stuck in relationships. They could get stuck in relationships with food or with the things that are causing them harm.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit cold-blooded, though.
But I mean, if it's for your well-being, then at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes I feel bad, but then I'm like, well, I mean...
You don't really owe them your...
Yeah, like, that's the thing, like one of my best friends, too, like, I asked her what she saw herself doing in 5 years. And then she had the wrong answer.
She said one of my best friends.
Wrong answer. What was the right answer?
The right answer was, like, getting out of the rut she was in, you know? Like, bettering herself, like, working on herself.
Yeah.
Trying to be somewhere, and she was just trying to have 3 jobs and still, like, just doing, like, struggling. Like, she was still trying to struggle. And I'm just like, even if you don't get to not struggle in 5 years, at least you have the plan to not struggle in 5 years, you know? Like, at least you have the plan to get better. But when you don't have that plan and your plan is to still be struggling, it's like...
Yeah, it's
You're
weird.
not gonna... Yeah, you're not gonna change it.
Especially because my mom always told me, tell me who you're hanging out with and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And then I was
Which is
like...
True, yeah.
Okay.
So true.
And then she was the only person I was hanging out with for I don't know how many years. And then my mom would always tell me, that's not a good friendship for you. And then I was like, well, I think she's cool, you know? But then when I asked her that question, I realized, like...
Damn, she was right.
Yeah, like maybe you aren't going anywhere, and my mom is right. Like, it's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, I remember I had a friend tell me, too, one time when I started making all these changes, they were just like, man, like, I don't even know you anymore. We don't have anything in common. Like, trying to see, like, if we can't be friends anymore or something. And I was like, well... why aren't you changing? Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm doing what I think I need to be doing. It's like, yeah, sorry we can't communicate on the same level anymore, but I'm making changes. I'm doing what I think is best for my life. Obviously, you think doing the same thing is best for your life, so sorry, bro. Like,
that is one thing. Yeah. What you think is you're doing best for your life reminded me of, like, of how you live your life is kind of representing how you want humanity to look like. And you're just embodying that.
That's true.
That universe.
Yeah, I've always heard be the change you want to see in the world. You know, and I think that's very true because, like, that's one of the things when you start waking up, you're like, what the hell am I going to do? There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. It's like you could get lost in how much crap there is out there going wrong, going right, whatever. But then when you just bring it all down, center it all to you, and realize you are your own universe, you're all your own world. So focus on that. And then by focusing on that, then everything around you will start changing as well. Because then your perspective on things, the way you see things is going to change by default. But people rather try changing other people than themselves sometimes. Which is crazy. It's like, dude, how are you trying to force other people to change? And, you know... Because
it's easier to, like, try to... You know what you want. You just don't want to do it. You just don't have the will to do it. So you kind of, like, tell it to other people.
Yeah, a lot of people was like, oh, I want to stop doing this, I want to stop doing that, and then you see them a year later and they're still doing it. Like, oh, well, I guess you didn't want it that bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you are really in what do they call it, rock bottom? Like, when you're really rock bottom, you're, like, desperate for change. Like, you're not really gonna sit there and keep doing it. You're kind of you're willing to do whatever it takes to change that, basically.
And a lot of that is, you know, close to death to some people. For me, it was like being super depressed and unhappy with life and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, rock bottom is different for everyone, but it is a good thing because you only have one place to go after that. You only got to go up.
Yeah, I've also heard like this this comparison where they said that sometimes when you're really depressed and you kind of like your mind is being like, oh, I want to kill myself, and you are taking it literal when it's like an ego thing, it's saying like the person that you want to kill kind of is the things that you're doing in your life, and that's true. Like the person that you're being right now, and you want to kill that, not like your body literally.
Yeah. That's what Yarixa was just talking about.
Oh, really?
The same exact thing to him, huh?
Yeah. I just talked about that today too with my friend.
Yeah, I literally just did it yesterday.
Yeah, no, it was like antier.
Yeah, the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
It's so funny.
I said the same exact thing. It's so crazy.
That's funny, and it's really true because that is what ended up dying for me. Yeah. It was like all these, you know, things that I thought were my persona, and, you know, what the expectations that I thought I had on me, and all these different things. Is once you let that die, once you let this character that you've been trying to convince yourself that you really are, then once you let that die and realize what you truly are. Then that's where that ego death happens, and that's where you're able to start really getting to mold the true character. Because I think at first, like, the masks that we wear, the personas that we put on aren't our true personas. They're what our friends would, you know, how we would fit in with our friends, how we would fit in with society, and all these different things, until you truly understand your true nature and your true value. Then you're able to start molding what you want, and you really representing yourself to reflect what's on the inside. And I think that is why it's important to, like, what you wear on your body, what you're portraying out to others, because it's supposed to be that reflection of what's inside. And if you're just treating your body like trash, then that means there's nothing but trash on the inside too.
That is true. Yeah, with the ego and the person changing thing, it's interesting how, like, the ego is so, like, it wants to be so strong to the, like, so stubborn to the not changing, this is who you are, to the point where, like, it will kill itself. Like, it will drive you to think that's the only option because of how bad it doesn't want to change.
It just wants to hold
it's
on
so
tight. It has that grit that it wants to keep tight.
Yeah.
At all cost. At all costs, and then you need that humbling experience one way or another, you know.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a lot of different ways to find it.
Oh yeah. World.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, for me, I think food. It's so crazy. Like, for me, it's like food was what did it all for me. Because as soon as I changed the way that I was eating, it was like, well, because then I realized, oh, I'm putting all this toxic stuff on my face. Oh, you know, like, I want to be more modest, so, and then, like, I wasn't wearing heels anymore, and I wasn't, like, I just, like, started, like, it was, like, a whole reset, and then my mom was like, you're letting yourself go, and she was really sad.
That's beautiful, because it is a reset, like, because you literally, when you stop putting the poison into your body knows how to heal itself, it knows what to do already, so you're really, like, I think I think in a year, all your cells are different than they were a year ago.
That's nice.
You know, different parts, you know, obviously, like, change differently, but they're all supposed to be regenerating all the time.
Yeah.
But the reason why people continue to get sick year after year after year is because they keep eating the same crap all the time. So it's like, if you would just stop that, just stop it, then you would realize your body knows how to regenerate itself.
Yeah.
And, like, herbs and stuff like that, they're not really healing you. They're helping you purge. You know, it's the same. That's what all the great plant medicines do. That's why when I first started doing mushrooms, and I didn't really know, but I didn't start fasting until mushrooms. So, and then, but my first, 4, 5 maybe times doing mushrooms, I threw up. But then, like, again, I think my first time doing mushrooms, I ate Taco Bell way earlier in the day. Threw that up. Someone told me to drink orange juice with the mushrooms because that's supposed to enhance it somehow, the vitamin C. Threw that up. It was like Tropicana or some bullcrap. Orange juice, you know? And then, same thing. Every single time I ate something that was literally poison to my body, the plant medicine pulled it out of me, you know? And that, what does your body do when you get too drunk? You throw up because you got to purge it out. And
so your body is always trying to protect itself.
Yeah, it's always trying to protect itself. And that's what the herbs are doing too, is they're helping you purge out all these toxins so that your body can do what it already knows how to do, what it was designed to do. And that was designed to keep you healthy and designed to keep you regenerating so you could live a nice and illness-free life. You know, but people don't stop putting in the crap in their bodies long enough to experience what it's like, you know, for your body to take over and to do what it does. Yeah. You know, and it's crazy. I'm glad I got to, you know, experience it myself within my own body, because now I'm feeling better than I ever have before. And it's all thanks to me stopping putting it, like, I stopped putting in all the crap. And it's not just the food though, but the music, the TV, all these different things that we're consuming. Because that's all they want us to do is consume. And then before you know it, you have all these different energies inside of you that are causing you to think certain ways, that are causing you to act certain ways, that are causing certain emotions out of you. And you don't know how to deal with them because they're not yours in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for me, like, all that, the TV and the music and all that, it was very early on. Like, I was in high school when I stopped all that. Nice. But, and then the microwave and all that, too, like, it was way before I even learned about the food. Yeah. But I think when I learned about the food, like, it was the ego death because I forced myself to stop being the person I was used to, I guess. Like, an everyday thing. Yeah, like, I was used to being this Barbie, you know? This independent Barbie. And I would walk, like, really high and mighty, you know? And think that I was, like, the shit. Even though, like, I wouldn't say it out loud, like, that's what my personality was. Yeah. But then, like, I just kind of, like, stopped all that. And, like, I couldn't even recognize myself looking in the mirror, you know? And it was hard. It was really hard. It wasn't something that was easy. But it made me have to change my personality, too. It made me have to change everything about me. Because now I can't act like I don't look how I'm acting, sort of thing. I don't know how to explain
that. Makes sense. Yeah.
So it was, like, really crazy. And then the last part was my toxic relationship. That, like, I kept being with this person that was not my person, but I kept forcing it because I had a kid now, you know? And, like, I didn't want multiple baby daddies. And because I was like, well, who's going to want me with the kid, you know? Like, It was, like, all that thought. So then I was trying to force this relationship to work. And then all these things kept happening so I could leave him, you know? And then I wouldn't. Why? Because I was so stubborn until, like, I was, like, finally, like, okay, yeah, this is not for me. Like, forget it. I'd rather just be single. Like, this is crazy.
And there was still...
And, you know? And then, boom, good things started happening again to me. And now I'm starting to realize who I am again, too. And now I can go back to wearing makeup. I can go back to becoming the person that I'm supposed to be. Personality and everything now. Because I was, like, really shining. Like, I was, like, a really big light. And then I got shut off when my ego died. Like, everything just shut down. Because I was just kind of like, okay, well, who am I? And then I couldn't find who I was because I was still in this very toxic environment. And so it was still eating at me, you know? Like, it was still, like, picking at me, and I couldn't be myself. And then now that I'm out of that, then I came out of that, and then now I'm, like, starting to shine again. and I'm like shining, 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 brighter, 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 and then like all these good things are just happening.
Yeah.
And it's because now I'm in the receiving state, and now I'm in the giving too, because now I can give, because now I'm full, So it's like really cool.
Yeah, I think that who am I is such an important question to ask yourself, because our whole lives we get told who we are.
Yeah.
And it starts with your name.
Yeah.
We get so caught up, and then especially the government does a great job of convincing us that we are our names for legal purposes and for commercial purposes and stuff. But I think anything that comes down to attachment is not good, because if you become too attached to something, then you're limiting yourself. And if we're infinite spirits that don't have a limit, our creator doesn't have a limit, and I like to believe that she didn't create us with a limit either. Then as soon as we start allowing ourselves to attach to, oh well, I'm Josue, even though I tell you guys at the beginning, I know that's just what was given to me. It's not who I truly am. Because what I truly am can't be just expressed with one little word. Some sound noises, and once you start losing those attachments, then you're like, well, if I'm not a football player, I'm not a martial artist, I'm not this, I'm not that, then who am I? And once you realize that these are just roles that we're playing, I play the role of a black belt coach sometimes, but I understand it's a role. If I got stripped, let's say I got paralyzed, and I could never coach anybody again, I wouldn't be depressed, because that's not what defines me. That's not where I draw my value from. My value comes from the source. It comes from something so infinite, so great, that can never be taken away. But people get too attached to things, so once you start taking that away, then they don't know what the heck they are. I've already stripped myself completely of everything. I've already seen myself, well, what if I'm not a martial artist? What if I'm not a father? What if I'm not this? What if I'm not that? And then who am I? And I got my answer. Thank the Most High, because, it's a beautiful thing once you're able to answer that without these different things. Because when you ask someone, well, who are you? They usually start saying what they like to do. Oh, well, I'm a writer. Oh, well, I'm a journaler. I'm a talk host. I'm a this, I'm a that. But it's like, I didn't ask you what you did. I asked you who you are. And that's a hard question to answer. But I am source. I am this infinite energy that was blessed upon you guys. That's just a little ego, balance. I was coming at you humble, got throwing some ego now.
We didn't see that coming.
To bless you.
Bless you. Know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?
And, I mean, that's just the way I look at it. But it comes down to that question that I think is a very powerful question. It's like, if you don't ever just spend some time alone, just sitting in darkness by yourself and ask yourself that, then you're never going to find the answer. But asking, you shall receive. And that's an important thing to receive. To know who you truly are is such a blessing. Because no matter what happens in your life, you're not going to be able to go that low anymore.
Yeah. That's true.
Because I think that's when I decided that I was love. And that's when I was like, I am love. And then that's what I stick to now. Like, I'm love.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. That's the same thing as saying I am source.
Yeah.
Because what God is good. They say that, right? Because God is good.
God is love.
O, double O or O is the same thing. God is love. God is these beautiful things. So, yeah. I am love. I am source. These are all ways of expressing what you truly are.
Yeah.
And, well, someone, like a hater might be like, well, what is love? What does that even mean? How can you even be love? And it's like, well, some things are not meant to be explained by words.
Yeah.
They're meant to be felt. They're meant to be experienced. Saying you are love, there's no more that needs to be explained by that. But there's a lot there to be felt and to be really taken in. Like, well, if you're saying I am love, then how do I embody that? Well, you embody that with your actions now, with your roles. Well, I'm deciding to be a mom. I'm deciding to be a teacher. And then that's where you get to express what you truly are.
Yeah.
So, me saying I'm source, yeah.
It's crazy. Like, remember when I was crying to you, like, how I realized that I love cooking. Well, the reason that I cook is because that's the way that I'm showing you love. Because it's like I'm cooking you a nice meal that's nourishing your body. And it's like it's so powerful because that is who I am. I am love. And that's why I cook. Like, it's crazy. Like, why do I wake up every day and cook? Like, I was just, like, asking myself that, like, why do I do this? Like, why do I choose to be alkaline? Because it's so hard sometimes because you have to cook everything from scratch. And then you have to wash the dishes.
The dishes.
But it's because I'm love, and it's because I love my son so much that I have to wake up in the morning and cook and figure out what I'm going to feed him from scratch that day.
And yeah, it makes it easier for him to express that love too. Like, he's already thinking of like the restaurant and everything. Yeah. Like, he wants to express love that way as well now. Yeah.
And he is the most lovable person, huh? Like, he just wrote him a song.
I know, he called me yesterday just to sing me a whole love song. He was just telling me, I love Papi Josue. And I was like, oh, if I was... Yeah, he's those are the kind of children that give me hope. Like, all right, humanity, we have a chance.
Yeah.
This little 4-year-old.
He's so did you come up with that right now, or when did you write it? And he's like, oh, well, mommy was calling you, and then I was preparing myself.
Yeah, it was adorable. Yeah, man, it's another great thing is that there's so many different paths that lead to the same path. I know we had a whole episode on the narrow path, which is true, but you got to look at it as a beam of light, right? So like when you have source, let's use the sun as an example. You have the sun, right, and it has its rays of light coming like this. If you see them break through the clouds, they come in a triangle. In case you guys didn't know, they don't come parallel like they would on a ball. But anyways, they come in a triangle like this, right? So if you look at each ray of light, it's all different. But if you trace it back to the source, it all leads to the same place. So there's so many different ways. That's why you came through it through the food. I came through it through conspiracies and other stuff. And then everyone's finding their own, awakening to realizing their true nature. But it's all going to lead to the same place if you don't go off rail. If you continue following the source. Because the source is always there.
Yeah.
If you're able to receive or if you're open to it, the source is always there, willing to show you the way, because it's light. That's why it's so illuminating, because it wants to show you the way. It wants you to bring all this good information back to it. So there's so many beautiful different ways to come to this truth that it has to be a choice, though, to make sure that you're choosing to go back to source.
Yeah.
And you're choosing that journey, and the different ways that it starts are gonna look different, but as long as you stay true to yourself, then there's gonna be a transformation on the way, and as you get closer and closer to that, you keep transforming even more.
You keep getting closer to it.
Yeah. And you become more like it. Once you get closer to source, you can't help but become more like the source, because it's so beautiful. That's what they say, that like God's light is so blinding that you can't even look at it, because it's way too much light. But they say that about the sun too, right? You're not supposed to look at the sun, but the more you sun gaze, like I've been sun gazing for the last 5 years now. So now I'm to the point where I can't look at the sun yet while it's at its highest point, like noon in the middle of summer is still a bit too bright for me. But at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., I'm still able to look at the sun without being like, ah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I'm becoming more light. And I'm accepting. I didn't accept the fact that, you look at the sun, you're going to go blind.
Yeah.
I believe people go blind for not looking at the sun.
Yeah.
In a way,
that makes a little
staying
more
inside
sense.
and stuff like that. And
yeah.
not getting any sun, becoming vampires and crap.
Yeah.
And then so I think the closer you get to source, the more you want to be like source and the more you want to be that way. And, that's what, I try living my life now is instead of trying to force people to change or anything like that, I just want to be an example. And I hope to be a good example. First and most, I want to be an example to my family, to my children. That's the first people I care about to be an example to, because I know they're going to look up to me. But then I hope to be, a good example to other people as well, to show that, no matter where you're at, if you're close to source, you're going to shine bright. People are going to know, people knew Christ was Christ without, him having to say anything.
Yeah.
Because just the way they carry themselves, just a way of, Christ or Krishna. Krishna is another form of Christ. Just the way they carry themselves and they radiate, that's a heavenly person. And, that's what I try striving to be, because even though I don't think I'm going to reach it at this lifetime, I may not. But as long as I'm trying to get to that point, then I can't go wrong. Yeah, I'm not going to be perfect at it. I'm still going to have mistakes. I'm still going to, have these issues that I've had before. But I'm on that path now. And I love the path. And people don't love the path as much. They will love the idea of where they might get to and what they might end up doing and stuff like that. But, you got to love every single step, even the blunders, even because, like we said, everything has led you to the point you're at now.
Yeah. And
once you start taking salvation into your own hands, then you have no one to blame but yourself if you get there or not. If I don't, if I die and the God is like, dude, you freaking messed up so bad, you gotta go back, do it all over again, and or whatever it may be. Well, I'm gonna accept it because it's like, damn, you're right.
Yeah,
it was my choice to do that. It was my choice to do this. It was my choice to do that. So yeah, you're right. I'll do whatever I gotta do. But now, I think my soul, I think even though we come to this world with amnesia, I don't think your soul ever forgets. I think your soul remembers everything. And we just watched that movie about that pretty much in Infinite, or Infinity or something like that. Infinite, where it's about reincarnation and stuff like that. But in that movie, it was only a select few that kept on reincarnating. But I do believe that the memory isn't lost. For sure isn't lost to the Most High, but once you decide to come back, and even there's still some people in this world that claim to remember their past lives, and
I think in the movie everybody reincarnated, but it was just those select few that could remember all of their past lives.
Yeah. And they say that there's a lot of kids that claim to remember their past lives.
Well, look at Junior. He says some crazy stories sometimes.
That's true.
One of them was that when he was little, that he went to his backyard and there was a bunch of lemon trees. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, well, what color were the lemons? And then he was like, yellow. Remember? And then I was like, where? I did not see the lemon trees.
And you even asked him if it was a dream or something.
Yeah, I was like, well, that must have been your dream because did not happen. That was not in Fresno. And then he was like, Mom, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. I was like, okay. He's like, it's real. And then he tells my mom a bunch of stories too. And then
yeah, so either it has a heck of an imagination or he's remembering something.
Yeah.
And
there was the latest one that he just said yesterday was that something was trying to kill him and he punched it. And then he didn't get killed. And I was just like, what the heck?
Wow.
He was like, yeah, I was laying down and then something came and it was trying to kill me and then I just punched it. And I was like...
Did he say he was dreaming though?
No, my mom was like, oh, you're funny. Like, you have really funny dreams. And then he's like, it wasn't a dream, Grandma. And so, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird.
See, and that's the part where, like, you as parents, you have to be careful to, like, shut it down.
Yeah.
It's like, what if they are remembering something, you know? You don't know. And then I think in this day and age, if you start saying stuff like, oh, no, I remember my last life, I was doing this or that, then they're going to be like, oh, no, you're crazy, like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then they will stop.
Yeah.
But what if you never told that kid to stop? Then they might, like, keep
more.
remembering more and more, you know? So it becomes an interesting situation.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, who knows what he's remembering, but he's sure, but he tells us when he dreams it.
Yeah,
that's
when
the thing.
He dreams, because he says, like, he has this one dream that he keeps having where he keeps fighting a baby wolf. And he says that, and he wins. And then he's like, yeah, and I have to let it get on top of me so then I can roll to my back, or I don't know what, but basically, like, he has this whole, like, and he keeps having that dream. And it's, like, crazy. Like, but he says it's a dream.
Yeah.
And so there's a difference when he says he remembers and then when he says it's a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, if you ever need help because there's a baby wolf and you're scared, just call me. And because I know how to fight a baby wolf.
He's been practicing.
Yeah, it is practice.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Just, if there is a wolf, we might have to have a different plan first, but if that doesn't work, then
but if it comes down to it,
we'll try your plan for sure.
It's nice that he, like, stands his ground though, like, even though I don't know if you asked him if he was dreaming or not, but he's like, no, like, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, like, that was not a question.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, so I think one of the last things I want to bring up is one of my favorite books that I've ever read that kind of made me realize, like, oh, you know, I do need to take charge of everything in my own life. It was The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation. And the interesting thing, right, is that we're made up of salts, or we have minerals or salts. So there's these 12 salts that are connected to the 12 signs of the Zodiac. If you look at the word salvation, it starts with the word sal. Sal. And then in Spanish, what do we say when someone sneezes?
Salud.
Salud. Salud means what?
Health.
Health. Exactly. So, and then what else is very important to our health? Our saliva. Saliva. You know? When I started making these connections, I was like, holy crap, where do we get these salts? From the foods. And in the book it tells you, like, the different foods for the different salts and stuff like that you can get it from. And these 12 salts have to do with the 12, like, different systems of your body. You know, there's 12 different signs depending on what sign you were born in. You know, you're going to have deficiencies in certain salts and stuff like that. So you got to make sure you eat foods to counterbalance the deficiencies that you have.
I wonder why my feet are always cold. But yeah, so
my mom's feet are always cold. She's an Aries. Are you an Aries?
Yes.
What?
Let's get that book out.
Aries is in the head. That's the first sign, so that's the head. So Pisces are the feet.
I'm in lack of.
Maybe you're in lack of that Pisces energy.
Maybe.
So yeah, I mean, it all comes down to, you know, what we put into our bodies too to save, and then that's what the Bible is a whole story about the human body as well, and you know, it even talks about the pineal gland. It talks about all these different things of how to take care of the body in such a way where you're gonna ascend to the next life. Because if we're light beings, then the best way to ascend is being light. Because light things rise, heavy things fall. What makes things heavy?
Death.
Well, not death.
Well, like dead things.
Burden, regrets.
Yeah, these low energies, right? Of
fear,
emotions, fear, hate, anger, all these things, all these things are very heavy. These emotions. That's why you feel so dragged down when you're in those ruts, because these things hold you down. And I think they're part of the 7 deadly sins as well. Jealousy, hate, envy, all these things. But if you start looking at the good things, those are all things that will make you feel lighter. When you're happy, you feel like you could just skip around the whole world.
Yeah.
When you're in love, like, oh, you feel that all in your heart and up in your mind. Like, you can't stop thinking. You can't, because these are all light things that make you feel so good. So if you want to ascend, you have to do the things that keep you light and stay away from the things that keep you heavy. And I think that's the way to save yourself. Just focus on the light.
Salvation.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I used to think that the world was hell because of everything like going on and stuff, and I was like, we're living in hell. And then I was talking to my cousin Santina, and then he's like, you're only living in hell if that's what you think you're living in.
That's true.
Because if you think you're living in heaven, like, look at all the beautiful things, look at all nature, and like he started pointing out different things that were beautiful. And then I was like, oh yeah, you're right, now I live in heaven. And then like after that mind shift, like, it's crazy because I literally like forget that everything is happening.
She's so quick to shift it. She's like, alright, I'm in heaven now.
We're going to heaven, guys. Hop on. I decided right now.
I just now decided.
I know, it is kind of quick, huh?
Yeah.
It was that quick. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Heaven. And then like I started looking at everything through that lens, like, well, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
And then like, and it's so true, like, because now I feel like I'm in my own little world, like, and I don't even notice, like, when I go to the grocery stores, when I'm like, oh dang, like, it is kind of weird how people are still wearing masks.
Yeah.
Like, because like I forget that that's even happening because I haven't gotten sick. I don't know. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any of that. So, like, it's easy to forget.
Yeah. To some people, the world is going to shit. To other people, these are the best times to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm
true.
learning so much. I just had a kid. Like, I have land. Like, it's so crazy how, like, everything is going right for me right now.
And even then, like, the world is so beautiful, but we haven't even got to experience nature at its fullest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
because
true.
like because at this day and age, like, technology and man has put in their footprint in so many different places that we don't even really understand what nature can be at its full potential. Like you were saying, like, if we truly had a relationship with it, like, if, on a worldwide scale, where we weren't polluting it and draining all its blood and doing all these different things, then damn, like, it would be, we would think this is completely paradise.
Yeah.
Without question. The only reason we're questioning, like, man, is this hell or where the hell are we? Is because we've done so much damage to it, and then we continue to do damage to it, and then we do damage to our minds. And then it's just like, damn, yeah, we are in hell. Yeah. But then it's like, oh, wait. Never mind.
Yeah.
This is still beautiful. This is still very beautiful. But I know it gets even better.
Yeah.
I know it gets even better. I have full faith in that.
Yeah.
You know, I may be wrong. But my experiences, my personal experiences have told me that, yeah, enjoy this place. If you can see the beauty in this, oh, wait till you get to the more heavenly realms. I'm like, yeah.
That's what I'm like, right? Yeah.
I better see y'all there.
I want to see you guys there. So get your damn shit together. I'm just kidding. We're all getting it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah. Starts with you, because you can't really do damage to the earth like that if you're not damaged like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like we can regenerate, so can the earth. The earth is constantly recycling.
It's abundant.
It's never going to run out of water. It's never going to run out of trees or plants or anything. It's just like, we just got to stop messing it up. Stop being that poison in it so it can start regenerating itself. And it just takes a few generations, you know. It doesn't take like a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, even like China, like they went from the worst air in the whole entire world, and then they literally just stopped like all the businesses, like businesses and cars and everything for a month, for 30 days. And then now they're like the cleanest there.
Well, I don't know about the cleanest, but
Well,
they cleaned up a lot. Huh?
Like they literally were not the worst. The worst was actually here in the Bay Area when like everything was burning.
Yeah. That's different though.
And then, but it became like they literally said that it was the worst air in the world.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, like, are you guys hearing this? In the world. Like, and people are just walking around, like, with just their COVID masks. And I'm just like, why are you even walking right now? Like, the worst air in the world.
Get some mole and leave.
Like, it's so crazy to me that people are just like, COVID, but then like something that's actually going into your lungs and freaking like it's the worst in the world. I couldn't stop saying it because I was just like, dude, these people are crazy.
Yeah. So your point was that you stop messing with it, then it cleans itself up real quick.
Yeah.
You know, and it's true because I mean it doesn't take us 3 different lifetimes to transform our bodies.
Yeah.
So it's not going to take the earth that long. But we just got to stop the poison.
Yeah. Wasn't it already doing something when like COVID, I think everyone was inside and then they were announcing like, oh, like this water place in Italy looks super clear now and the bioluminescent lights are coming out and stuff like
you
that.
can see more lights.
Yeah.
Like the stars.
That too.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because people stopped driving.
Yeah.
They stopped going places.
Well, any last thoughts?
Do better for you and for the world.
When you do better for you, you're healing the world.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already said everything that's in my mind, so you know. Yeah. It's been
thank you, Jenni, for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you
for being our
guys.
first guest.
Yeah, thank you
It was a fun
guys.
conversation.
It was. I had a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna have to take a pee break again.
We're finishing it, Jenni. Jesus, get it together.
No, thank you guys. I really had a good conversation.
Oh my goodness.
I feel really inspired right now.
Yes. So like, share, and subscribe so Jenni could go take a picture. All right. Peace and love.
Bye.